continuing this because I received a phone call in the middle of this. But anyway, just see how different it is from the training videos that you see on YouTube or the stuff that may be taught to you in martial arts schools. Because everything you see in there is the guy's waiting for his instructor to just take him down. He swings, he waits, and he doesn't resist, he doesn't fight. Have your friend freaking go crazy on you with a magic marker or a Sharpie and see what happens. Now, that's the actual physics of the knife fighting aside. How do you actually survive knife fights it's very simple. There's no such thing as a knife fight. Don't get into knife fights. There's generally two types of attack with a knife, and for guys like you and me who aren't gangsters or criminals, who don't have people trying to kill us, the first type of knife attack is never going to happen. And what that first type is it's pretty much just an assassination. It's not a knife fight. If he's trying to kill you, what that means is you're not going to see any knife. He's going to walk up behind you, bump into you, stab you in the kidney, and down you go. And how you can best avoid that is, the way that normal people, law-abiding citizens, get into knife fights so much is they get into regular fights. They start arguing with a guy, be it in a bar or some asshole gangster who's telling you to go away from him. And they start arguing, and we start yelling at each other and beating our chest and threatening each other. And next thing you know, that guy pulls out a knife. This is the most common type of thing that happens. Now, so step one is to avoid the kind of assassination knife attack. Is if you're in a fight with some real hardcore dude, if you know like he's a gangster or a guy who's actually willing to hurt you, and say you're fighting with each other in a bar, and when you leave, don't give him a reason to follow you and hurt you. Because these kinds of people, they're all about saving face. They're all about having that image of the badass who can't be insulted. So if you insult him in front of his friends and get the last word in and then just leave, you're giving him a reason to follow you and fuck you up. And he probably will. And if he does that, you're screwed. You can't stop a knife that you can't actually see. It's not a fight. He's trying to kill you. It's murder. An actual knife fight is what happens for that regular fight. When we're in a bar and we're arguing with people, and he pulls out the knife, this is the most important thing to understand. When a guy pulls out a knife after you've been arguing with each other, he's showing you a knife. He's not attacking you yet. He's not doing shit. He hasn't attacked you with the knife. He's still arguing with you. You guys have escalated the situation to the point where he's revealed a weapon. And that's called threat display. He's threatening you with a weapon. He's not using it. He's threatening you. He's saying, here, I have this gun or knife or whatever. Now, you better do what I tell you or I'm going to hurt you with this. And most often, well, hell, I'd say always for normal people like me, the thing that he wants by threatening you is for you to go away. Because you're arguing, you're fighting. And he just wants you to fuck off like a dog with his tail between his legs and give him that power sense like, ha, you're a pussy, I win, go away. And that's what you should do. He's pulled out a knife. It's effectively the same thing as pulling out a gun. It's that dangerous. And he's offering you a chance to do what he says and most likely just fuck off. Take that chance. Go away. I mean, I've had this happen twice to me when I was younger and more aggressive. The first time I ever had a knife pulled on me was because I was in a park doing a school project. I was still in high school. And this, 16-year-old punk gangbanger type started yelling at us to get out of his park. It's his turf, blah, 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 fuck off. And we started arguing, doing stupid shit, and then he pulled out a knife. And then I put my hands up and said, okay, I'm done, and walked away. Now, at the time, I didn't understand jack shit about knives. I didn't understand how it works. I still thought that there's the whole self-defensive thing. I was just too much of a bitch to actually go ahead and fight him. And that's actually probably what saved my life. And that's the same exact principle that happens to most people. And unfortunately, most people who don't understand this, they don't perceive this as a threat. They think it's a bluff. They're still in that mentality where they're not fighting, they're just arguing, trying to show who's the bigger boss. And they think that if I walk away from this guy now, I'm going to be less of a man. Bullshit, you're going to survive. Look at it this way. If a guy pulled out a gun on you and gave you the chance to walk away, and you walked away, does that make you less of a man? Does that make you more of a pussy? No, you're walking away from a deadly weapon that you have no way to survive against. Same freaking thing with the knives. Take that opportunity to disengage and get the hell out of Dodge. Now, muggers. Oh, muggers is the biggest problem. If a guy is holding you up with a knife, I mean, most people, including myself, will tell you to comply with the mugger. Give him the freaking cash, do whatever you need, so don't give him a reason to attack you. The problem with muggers is they are the type of criminal that are taking a high-risk action, a very high-risk criminal action, for a very low reward. What are you going to have in your wallet? 40 bucks, maybe, at the most? 100 bucks, maximum? These are people who are willing to commit a crime and threaten you and kill you for 100 bucks. These are the types of people who are crazy, who are junkies looking for their next fix. They are so fucked up in their head that they're willing to kill you for a short, small amount of cash. You cannot reason with those kinds of people. You cannot expect them to not hurt you just because you comply. Despite that, you should not give them a reason to actually go ahead and make do on their threat. Remember, this is a threat. It's not a bluff. They are threatening you. Do what I say. I'm giving you a chance to do what I say, or I will hurt you and kill you. So, comply with that threat. Don't give them a reason to actually act on it. Just remember that with a mugging situation with a knife, you may actually need, that he may still, despite you complying, decide to hurt you. And you may need to act on that. So how do you actually defend yourself against an attacker with a knife? The only way, really, is to get a better weapon. You can't defend yourself against a gunman with your bare hands. Likewise, you can't defend yourself against a knife attacker with your bare hands. And even if he doesn't know what he's doing, even if he's not doing what I talked about with the knife in the hand, if he's just freaking slashing like a madman, it's still hard as hell to stop. Even though you may block the knife thing, or that knife's just going to come down, he's going to be running at you, it's hard as hell. The only way to stop a knife attacker with your bare hands is not techniques. The techniques are useless. It's your reflexes and your speed. If you are Bruce Lee, if you are Jet Li, and you are this awesome guy who sparred your entire life, and you're so fast that you can process the attacks and block them and fight back, then you can probably stop a knife attacker. I'd say we're not those kinds of people. Most of us do not have that. Hell, most of us do not have any experience with fighting. Most of us take a self-defense course or something, but that's it. We don't spar. And that's the key issue. Your greatest advantage in fighting and knife defense and gun defense is not learning techniques from a martial arts school. It's practicing. It's sparring with your buddy to get that mental processing up, to get that mentality going. But to actually defend yourself against a guy coming at you with a knife, you need a better weapon. So step one, run the fuck away. Run. Run like fucking hell. I mean, hell, if he's chasing you and you're running, start throwing shit behind you. The dump trucks, garbage trucks, get out into the open. Get out where there's people, somebody to help, anything. Towards the lights and the noise, away from whatever dark, scary alley you're in. Pick up a stick, a brick, anything. Just something you can throw at his face. Sticks and baseball bats are freaking great because they give you that added range, that reach that you can just put the baseball bat out and block him from coming closer to you. Guns are also a problem. This is something called the Tor effect, or the Tor drill. What happened a long time ago is a police officer called Tor, at least I think that's how you pronounce his name, determined that in the time it takes for a police officer to draw his weapon and fire, which was about 1.5 seconds for a trained person, a man with a knife from 7 yards away, from 21 feet, could close that distance and hit him. The point being that a guy with a knife within 7 yards can get to you before you can clear your weapon and shoot him. You need that distance. That's the key thing that comes down to surviving knives. It's all about that distance. He's got a very, very dangerous melee weapon. Your only advantage is to get as much space between you and him as possible. Look for that exit to run the fuck away and disengage, or get your gun out and shoot him. Knife on knife does not work. You're both going to get screwed, but that is an advantage. If you have a knife and he has a knife, you're both going to get cut up and killed. But that is a deterrent. If you have a pocket knife and you've got the room to do it, whip it out, show it, and start backing away. Do not freaking try and fight him with a knife. You're both going to get cut up. And you're probably going to die, because if he sees that you have a deadly weapon and he still goes at you, he's past caring about survival. He just wants to fuck you up. At all expense. He knows this is going to go into him. He's still coming at you. He has that advantage. He has that advantage of giving no fucks. So if you have a pocket knife, get it out. Get that distance. Keep backing away. De-escalating. always de-escalate and get out of dodge. Guns, again, get that distance, get the gun out, de-escalate, get out of dodge. Otherwise, just run as much as you can, throw whatever you can at him, get whatever stick or weapon you can get, and keep backing up and disengaging until you can get away from him. Because if it comes down to you going at him, with him having a knife, you are very probably screwed. So that's going to wrap this up. I'm thinking it's about 17 minutes or 20 minutes now. I may need to do this in 2 parts. But I'm going to make some videos after this to demonstrate the problem with the techniques that I talked about at the start of this, why they're useless, and keep all this in mind. And remember, the best way to survive against knife fights is don't start one, don't get into one. Don't argue with people in bars, don't escalate situations. If the knife comes out and he's not killing you yet, take that moment to give up and let him save face and get out. Don't get the last word in, don't provoke him, get the fuck out. So that's it for now. I'll make the second videos to this later. Take care.